You can't be demanding. You can't be relentless. You can't put yourself first. So, put yourself first. You can't be confident, so be confident.
They called her the brightest star in women's basketball, until her own sponsor treated her like she didn't exist. Now everybody's wondering one thing. How does an international sports giant forget its most promising athlete in practically one day? Some are calling it the biggest brand blunder in recent memory. Others see it as a microcosm of the ongoing struggle for female athletes.
So Nike is turning to one of the things that they haven't really fully embraced. Not really. And that is the most electrifying women athletes in sports for their awesome comeback. And guys, it makes sense to go for women athletes at this moment because women's sports are having a moment right now.
And giving women's sports the attention it merits. Yet mere hours later, a promotional rollout supposedly honoring all the featured athletes didn't even mention the most compelling player in the ad.
So the WNBA, heck, women's sports, it seems, has its own Lord Voldemort. She who shall not be named. Because we saw ESPN of every single female athlete that appeared during the Super Bowl, named all of them. Named every single one of them. Except number 22 from Indiana.
Meteoric rise, explore the brand's reaction, or lack thereof, and figure out how a single oversight triggered a tidal wave of backlash. In a world where social media can make or break reputations overnight, it's no surprise that thousands of fans are calling for accountability, or even a full-blown brand boycott. This situation has ramifications well beyond just one athlete. It touches on how major corporations handle female endorsements,
that Nike has, and as y'all can see, that's the shirt with all of the athletes that featured in that commercial on it. Something that stood out among the Caitlyn Clark fan base is them not mentioning Caitlyn Clark's name at all in this whole damn ad.
Because you better believe, if 22 from Indiana, like Aja, like Juju, was a member of Clutch Sports, this ad would not have seen light. This ad would not have been released. This ad would not have been released. It just wouldn't have. This ad would not have been released.
It was essentially a roll call of greatness. Among these titans, Caitlyn Clark's appearance was especially notable. She's been labeled as one of the brightest up-and-comers in women's basketball, someone poised to leave an indelible mark, not just in the WNBA, but across the entire sports landscape. At first glance, it looked like Nike had finally grasped the potential of women's basketball. Viewers spotted Caitlyn Clark going toe-to-toe with big names.
And then we're going to have a couple Caitlyn Clark cameos here and there just to appease everybody, okay? Just to appease everybody. That's what we're going to do. But the day after, that's when we really roll out the real commercial.
Celebrating all the athletes who had appeared in the commercial. These t-shirts were intended to highlight each individual by name, a commemorative piece that fans could purchase to show their support.
Somebody else said, what a joke. I'm so over Nike. I think I will put my money in other places. CC is actually signed with. Boycott Nike.
Now faced a firestorm of criticism. Confusion set in fast. How could a corporation with decades of experience in sports marketing fail to include the name of its newest star? Some fans theorized it was a simple logistical error. Maybe a designer or copywriter forgot to update a final draft. Others speculated it was more telling. An institutional disregard for female athletes. Many said it wasn't the first time a brand has jumped on the hype of an emerging female star, only to sideline her soon afterward. And that's when the rumor mill got going. Did the brand really value Clark's potential, or was she just a fleeting trend they capitalized on for a major TV spot? Could it be that after the initial pop of excitement, the brand pivoted its resources elsewhere? The atmosphere was thick with speculation.
You don't want to believe it's Nike itself, but it's looking real spooky in the Nike department, bro. Like, we have been getting like late news when it comes to her sneakers, late news when it comes to her shirts,
fueling the belief that the brand was either incompetent or apathetic. A straightforward apology or a quick fix might have quelled the uproar, but none came. Instead, fans started circulating screenshots of the t-shirt design and the absent name. tagging the brand relentlessly in posts that demanded accountability. By the end of the day, the fiasco had grown into something bigger than a forgotten name. It became an illustration, some would say a glaring indictment, of how female athletes are often treated within the corporate sports hierarchy.
The other person said, y'all never beaten the allegations, Nike. Why put Caitlyn Clark jersey in this BS? If this lady won't say her name, and she should, dumb.
One of the sports world's most surprising controversies. Caitlyn Clark's name might be relatively new to casual sports fans, but for those who follow women's basketball, it's been on the radar for years. She's not just a strong player, she's a phenomenon, smashing records and setting the court on fire with her shooting and playmaking. Born with a competitive streak that coaches noticed early on,
after we had such a great time during the Super Bowl yesterday, this is crazy, man. I don't know who the admin is over their PR or with these commercials, but they don't like Caitlyn Clark, bro. It's clear as day that they don't like her.
After 27 years of being away from Super Bowl commercials, Nike is back. And they brought some of the biggest stars in women's basketball.
Just 24 hours after a big-time Nike commercial that pretty much starred Caitlyn Clark and other women athletes, Nike had found themselves in serious hot water after another commercial that has been released about the t-shirt I reported on yesterday.
Men's or women's, Clark's skill set isn't limited to offense. She's also a facilitator, dishing out pinpoint passes and elevating her teammates. This blend of scoring and court vision, combined with her fiery swagger, has made her the face of women's college basketball. Fans adore her confidence and her relentless drive, while critics admire her efficiency. It's no wonder companies began lining up for a chance to sign her to endorsement deals, even before she could officially turn pro. But it's not only her numbers that stand out.
So, like, you put all the blame, like, if 22 from Indiana signed with Clutch Sports, the shoe's already released, she probably makes 40 mil from that shoe deal minimum, not 28 mil. And she would not have signed an 8-year deal with Nike.
WNBA has been so eagerly anticipated. Here's the kicker. When news leaked that Caitlyn Clark would feature in a prominent Super Bowl ad, her supporters celebrated it as the ultimate confirmation that the mainstream sports world was ready to acknowledge her star power. Social media erupted with excitement, seeing the ad as the perfect chance for Clark to cross over into pop culture fame.
Like a lot of Caitlyn Clark fans is keeping receipts with all of the nonsense Nike has been doing, man. This is wrong, and it's just unfortunate, you know. Time and time again, we find ourselves in this Nike situation with them kind of not showing Caitlyn Clark love. I'm here to tell you, dog, it's looking very spooky yet again from the Nike department.
Others were simply puzzled. How do you go from glorifying an athlete in front of millions to leaving her out of the celebratory merch? It didn't compute. The vacuum of official explanations left people speculating that maybe Clark's achievements, while impressive, still weren't enough to convince some corporate executives to treat her the same as her male counterparts. As the days wore on, Clark remained relatively quiet about the incident publicly, focusing instead on her performance on the court. But fans wouldn't let it go. They flooded her social media pages with supportive messages, urging her to speak up.
You can't speak up. You can't be so ambitious. You can't break records. You can't have any fun. You can't make demands. Can't be proud. You can't keep score. You can't stand out. Whatever you do, you can't win.
She was the future, and everyone knew it. Few stages rival the sheer spectacle of the Super Bowl, an event that commands massive global viewership each year.
I wish Caitlyn nothing but the best, and I don't want to believe it's Nike, man. I really, really don't want to believe it's Nike, the brand. I want to believe it's the people that work for Nike, you know, that keep dropping the ball on this Caitlyn Clark.
Opened with quick snapshots of legendary athletes, culminating in a series of action shots that included Clark dribbling, shooting, and celebrating. It was a montage designed to proclaim, "We support greatness in every form, across every sport." The choice to feature Clark was immediately hailed as groundbreaking. Pundits argued that the brand was making a statement. Women's sports no longer played second fiddle to men's leagues. The brand's social media feeds lit up with posts championing equality, and praising the unstoppable rise of female basketball prodigies. Collages appeared on Twitter, showing Clark alongside other marquee figures from the commercial, everyone from Olympic gold medalists to big-name soccer heroes. And the reaction was overwhelmingly positive. Fans wrote heartfelt messages saying how empowering it was to see a younger female athlete occupy the same space as household names. Parents posted how they couldn't wait to show their daughters that commercial, calling it a pivotal moment for representation. Sportscasters debated whether Caitlyn Clark would eventually be the WNBA's biggest new star.
You're just fueling the false narrative that black players don't like Caitlyn Clark, which I have to agree with that, bro. This is looking really spooky by Nike, dog.
A promotional t-shirt designed to commemorate the Super Bowl ad's athletes was teased online. Eager fans scanned it to see if their favorites were featured. They saw the names of other participants. As the hours ticked by, however, no such explanation materialized. Instead, social media was flooded with screenshots proving her omission. That's when the wave of disbelief morphed into anger. For the brand, the timing couldn't have been worse.
You want to know what I'm selling? I'm selling greatness. Asia Wilson, 3-time MVP. We got Jordan Childs. We got Juju Watkins. We got Sha'Carri Richardson. Okay. And we got Arena Sabalenka.
Champion.
Hustling is not easy, but I love it. Sabrina, I know you want a team. Thinking about it? You're thinking about it. They're gonna go fast, kind of like Sha'Carri. I accept card. Where's the card? Come on.
Oh wait, what's in that box?
These don't come out till March. They may or may not be shirts, but if I tell you, I'm gonna have to kill you. Oh, you want one of these? Nike.com.
Wasn't an error at all. Could it be that the brand's decision makers still saw women's basketball as an afterthought? The discourse turned fierce, and many who'd been supporters felt compelled to voice their frustration publicly.
They named all of them. And now with Nike, they're listing out the names of this. And of course, who do they ignore? The number 22 out of Indiana. Let's take a look at the Nike commercial. And by the way, the most popular of all these sports people is number 22 out Indiana.
While Instagram comments pleaded for some kind of rectification, a new design, a public apology, anything to show that the brand cared about Caitlyn Clark and her fanbase. Compounding the issue was the brand's silence. In the best case scenario, one might expect a quick tweet or statement such as, "We noticed an error and are actively working to fix it." But corporate channels were quiet. PR insiders suggested the brand was scrambling behind the scenes, unsure whether to own up to a mistake or double down with a different narrative. By the second day, speculation grew that some internal miscommunication had led to Clark being left off the final list of featured athletes. But watchers found it hard to believe a brand so seasoned at marketing could make such a fundamental error. Meanwhile, fan outrage took on a life of its own. Hashtags started trending, with some users calling for a boycott. Others tagged Caitlyn Clark directly, urging her to speak out about the snub. A few even suggested she drop her endorsement deal altogether. Memes circulated showing Clark's silhouette next to a blank nameplate, or referencing comedic lines about the athlete who must not be named. A particularly resonant comment came from a well-known women's basketball blogger who wrote, "If you can't follow through on basic recognition for the star of your own commercial, do you even care?"
But yeah, man, as y'all can see there, Nike has failed to say anything about Caitlyn, man. Like I say, it's very unfortunate coming off the day that we had yesterday with that Super Bowl commercial, getting all of the behind the scenes stuff look with Caitlyn after that commercial.
Fiasco was an unfortunate aberration, not a reflection of the brand's overall attitude. They implored critics to wait for an official explanation before jumping to conclusions. Unfortunately, every hour without a brand statement only fueled the anger of fans who felt left in the dark. In the midst of the chaos, sports news outlets picked up the story, framing it as a cautionary tale of how quickly public opinion can turn against you. They ran headlines like, "Nike's Super Bowl victory becomes a PR disaster," and "Caitlyn Clark omission, fans demand accountability." The brand had aimed for a morale-boosting wave of good press from the Super Bowl. Instead, it found itself defending a blind spot it hadn't seen coming. By day 3, it was painfully clear that this fiasco wasn't going to resolve quietly. The story continued to spread.
Yeah, like at this stage, the only person you can blame is the agent of 22 for Indiana. That's the only person you can blame, because like that Nike deal is one of the worst deals ever signed in sports.
Outraged fans flooded platforms with posts demanding answers, and memes emerged highlighting the stark contrast between Clark's Super Bowl stardom and her absence on brand merchandise. This uproar sparked broader questions about corporate support for female athletes, as WNBA players and sports bloggers cited similar past oversights. Suddenly, one of the world's top sportswear brands found itself at the center of a debate on gender equity, especially within basketball. Beyond this single incident, the controversy underscored larger challenges in women's sports, everything from smaller marketing budgets to underpublicized accomplishments. Clark's meteoric rise was supposed to symbolize a new era of widespread recognition for female athletes, but the t-shirt fiasco served as a sobering reminder of how quickly progress can stall. Critics wondered if this brand's omission reflected a deeper pattern of neglect or simply a high-profile mistake in execution. In either case, the demand for transparency and accountability grew louder. Speculation grew about possible outcomes. Would the brand issue a public apology, relaunch merchandise featuring Clark, or risk losing her and other emerging stars to competitors who show stronger commitments to women's athletics? The stakes soared even higher as legal questions arose over potential breaches in endorsement agreements. Ultimately, many observers saw this saga as a pivotal test of how far women's sports marketing has actually come, and whether consumers' outcry could force real change.
Now, let's be real, guys. Nike has not exactly been crushing it lately. The sneaker giant has been taking some L's with declining sales and fierce competition from other brands like Hoka, you got On, you got Skechers. Like a lot of brands are either coming into the space new or are redeveloping what they're doing, and they're giving Nike a run for their money.
Just like Clark can ignite massive interest, the responsibility now lies with sponsors, leagues, and fans to ensure that support and recognition are more than just a one-time Super Bowl spotlight.